Ian with me. I have two ugly guests, and Connor. Oh no, Curtis. It's just Dan.
Come on.
No, just a bit bullying there. No worries. We've got Connor. How are you doing, mate?
Fantastic. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good. Thank you for asking, actually. We've got Curtis, fresh from a heavy night out and a heavy session of football. How are you doing, Curtis?
Yeah, I'm surviving. I'm here. That's all you're getting from me today. My appearance. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah, just like Chelsea on the weekend. And then Dan, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm loving the start of the season. Man United hit the ground running. Can't wait to talk about football. That's what I'm here for. Let's get into it.
Well, that's a great segue because Man United is our question of the week. What does Ten Hag need to do at Manchester United to get them back and ticking? At times last season, we saw they were playing some very nice football, counter-attacking football. People thought this season we would see a bit more possession-based football, but really with the signings that have been made, I don't think that's really the vision and what Ten Hag's kind of been talking about, the tradition of Man United being a counter-attacking side. I don't think that's what we're going to see. So, Dan, I'm going to do like a Man United sandwich. I'll go to Dan, Curtis, and then we'll finish on Connor, as I always like to do. Dan, what do you think? Just like before we go into like the details about the midfield and the forward line, which I think are the two main things. In general, do you agree with this counter-attacking philosophy that has been kind of throughout Manchester United's history?
No, and it's almost a myth as well, because the idea, let's just say under Fergie, because when you talk about history, that's where your head goes to first, right? It never was. It was adapting to different styles. There were certain teams that could get the better of us possession-wise. Wenger and Arsenal were one, and it happened a lot in the Champions League. Then we rely on transition. That's when you see the Park Ji-sung games, the Darren Fletcher games. But the majority of the time, we controlled games. Of course we did. Paul Scholes. Carrick,
Cantona,
give me Roy Keane
dropping in,
even Rooney dropping in, Cantona dropping in, Berbatov was there,
Dwight York,
even Rio Ferdinand playing out from the back. That's Man United. What they mean by counter-attacking, I think this is where it's a little bit like when people say, "Oh, you play football like Brazil." They don't mean that. They just mean you're playing good football. They don't mean you're playing like Brazil, right? When you're playing like Man United, I think it just means explosive wingers. I think that's what, and that generally happens in counter-attacking football. That's pretty much it. So it isn't that exciting, right?
Yeah.
So the only thing that bugs me right now with Man United is, bro, I'm confused. I'm really confused because when you see transfers come in the door, you try and make sense of it, right? You put your football head on and you pretend you're the manager for 2 seconds. You're like, right, okay. So he's brought in Mason Mount rather than a number 6 or like a Frankie de Jong type player who likes getting the ball off the back four and dictating play. So you look around football at the moment, like where does 2-8s work? Well, it works at Arsenal and it works at City, and that's because one of the back four come out. None of our back four come out. So we've just got this big ocean in the middle where teams can just run through it like Moses is there with his stick going, come on through, lads. I don't know what it looks like moving forward. The idea of Ten Hag last season as well was like counter-pressing football, if you like, or transition football. When you say counter-attacking football, that's almost like you're sitting deep and hitting. That wasn't it. It was trying to win the ball back as high up the pitch as you can.
Yeah.
The problem is if the other side can play out, then you're all of a sudden in a situation where you're allowing them to dictate games. If the games are being dictated by the opposition, how do you consistently pick up points? I don't know where we go from here, but it looks a mess.
Yeah, no, I think that's all very fair. And yeah, I mean, these terms like counter-attacking and stuff, they kind of lost their real meaning, haven't they, through the years of people just kind of saying it willy-nilly, as I did. But yeah, like there's always been an element of like transitional football, but obviously, like you say, this idea that United have always been a counter-attacking team is somewhat a myth, at least. Of course, everyone counterattacks to some extent. Curtis, your thoughts on just like what United need to do, or what Ten Hag specifically needs to implement? What's going wrong?
Obviously, I think you boys will be looking at United a bit more in depth than I do. I mean, obviously, I've seen the first 2 games of the season. I think the Wolves game was definitely more alarming than the Spurs game. Personally, I think the way that your midfield got battered by an average Wolves midfield. I'm not 100% sure what you do immediately unless you sign someone, but I don't know whether you're going to. I mean, I've been linked with Amrabat and a couple others, but I don't know. In terms of personnel, I think because you've got Casemiro as that 6, which maybe he isn't quite up to what he was last year as of yet. I think some of the stats we've seen, he's dribbled past the most so far this season. But normally that would be enough in a midfield three to have him in front of the back four, who you'd hope would be able to play, to kind of usher through a game where you're not going to get run through. But for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's because Mount and Bruno lack that pure defensive mindset, because obviously they're attacking players. You want them both on the ball. You don't play those players for their defensive capabilities. But I don't know. I mean, if I was a United fan, I'd be very concerned about the midfield three. I just don't think logistically it works. On paper, it looks good. I think you think, again, Casemiro sits, Bruno and Mount just in front. He gives them the ball. They run forward. You then feed the wingers and feed Rashford. Like I said, on paper, it sounds like a good plan, but it just doesn't seem to be working. And like Dan said, whether that means you go out and get another 6 maybe, but then do you want to play with 2 holding midfielders? Because that obviously then limits your attacking options. I don't know. It's definitely a headache that I don't think he thought he was going to have 2 games into the season. I mean, it's not just their midfield. I think overall, both wingers have looked average. I mean, I don't rate Anthony whatsoever. I think he's a very, very average fidget spinner. Like, he's honestly got a few tricks in the book, but I don't think he's a very good footballer. You boys might disagree as a United fan. And I think Dill said the other day as well, Garnacho doesn't look the same player when he starts. He looks like he lacks confidence. And Rashford's not a 9, is he? I think he's got the capabilities of being a 9. He's got some skills that would obviously help him be a 9. But I think you want him on that left. You want him running at defenders, committing defenders. I just don't think he works to his best skill set playing through the middle. So yeah, I think a few headaches for Ten Hag for sure. And to answer your question, how does he fix it straight away? I haven't got a clue because I'm not a football manager.
That's fair enough. We'll come on to Connor now and go on to that midfield point first of all. Casemiro, Mount and Bruno, can it work in possession and out of possession? And if not, who needs to come in to kind of accommodate the other 2 of those, whichever one you drop?
That's the problem. I don't even really know who can replace. Out of the 3, you'd probably want to replace Mount. I know, like, I actually really was one of the few United fans, I think. Maybe that's unfair to say, but I was quite excited when we signed Mason Mount. I didn't think he would. It's too early to judge him, but two league games, let's be honest, he's done absolutely nothing to affect either of the games so far. Absolutely nothing. But I'll give him time and everything, but if you want to look at the 3, he's the one that looks like he should need replacing. And I know the other 2 have just spoken about the midfield quite a lot, and I agree with everything they've said. I think that is a big problem. I think another big problem is I've never been a fan of wingers. So, for instance, Anthony on the right wing, left-footed winger, and Garnacho on the left. I've never been a fan of someone who can't go on the outside. I remember when I was growing up, when we were winning titles, before Valencia was a right back, he was right mid, bombing it down the right, outside whipping. City, so many times you see it down the byline, cut back with their strong foot. It just works. So when you have one-trick ponies like Anthony just cutting in, trying the same delivery every single time, I just don't think it works. Rashford is really, really, really not a striker. I'm kind of getting sick of the fact that he plays up top, because I think his best position is on the wing, and I think he's more than good enough to start for United on the wings. But not only when we start him up front, are we starting him out of his best position, we're then just leaving a big up top of absolutely nothing. I know it's not Ten Hag's fault that Haaland's injured. Obviously, he's going to come back and we'll see how he does. But if you look at the top teams, they've all got 2 strikers. We don't even have 1 at the minute. And that's the thing. When one's injured, you need another one. Rashford ain't that guy. City got Haaland, Alvarez. Arsenal, to an extent, Jesus, I know he's always injured. And then Nketiah can bang goals if you really need him to. Chelsea and Nkunku's injured. They've still got Jackson. I mean, the striker issue we haven't addressed for years. We had Zlatan for 1 year. He was really old, and don't get me wrong, he played really well. And apart from that one season where Zlatan banged them, and Ronaldo had a decent season, he wasn't fantastic when he came to us. That's it. We haven't had a striker for so many years now, really since Van Persie. And that is, until we solve that, no managers will work till we solve that.
Well, do you think Højlund will be the one to improve that? Is that something that can improve it immediately this season? Or I'll come to Dan actually, because Dan's watched a lot of Højlund at Atalanta. Do you think when he comes in after his injury, which I think is like another month or so, isn't it?
He's in the squad for Forest.
Yeah,
okay, there you go then. Well, is that something that can like immediately improve it, and can that change the team?
Nope. It's honestly, it's desperate. We've played against a low block and looked terrible, and we've played against a team who wants to play expansive football and look terrible. We cannot get the ball into the right areas for our attacker and the players to be even effective.
Yeah.
Kurtz was bang on the money. He said Anthony's been awful. Yes. Garnacho's been awful. Yes. Rashford can't play as a 9. Yes. Mount's been anonymous. Yeah. All of these are linked to not being able to progress up the pitch. It's so desperate because I'm watching Ole Gunnar Solskjaer football again. It's relying on individualism when they get those particular moments when they can be threatening, when the ball does end up in eventually like isolated areas for the wingers. I mean, I'm okay with isolated wingers. I mean, that's what Man United fans like, right? As soon as one of those wingers pick the ball up on a byline, they're 1v1 via defender, everybody stands up. And I think back to your other point, that's what the counter-attacking Man United is. That's so predictable, and that's all we got. That is literally all we got until that first phase is sorted out, whatever that looks like. I don't know. I've even contemplated in my head like putting Shaw centre back and Martinez left back just so we can come join in with the 6 with Casemiro, so we can get out of phase 1. Until that happens, I don't think it will. One thing that Højlund will offer though is he's a massive outlet. He's a really big outlet. It might even force defenses to drop back just because of how powerful he is. A la Haaland, I can see where the comparisons come from. They're different players, but off the shoulder he's extremely strong, he's powerful, pacey, and he's got a good strike on him. In terms of what's missing from our game, Højlund doesn't even touch that. No.
Yeah, no, I think there's certainly some issues. I think Dan, you didn't really get to talk about the midfield as well, so I'll come to you on that. Out of those 3 who are there, because realistically you can't go and replace them all, and I don't think you need to go and replace them all either. But if you needed to go and get one signing and replace one of them, is it Casemiro for Amrabat, someone who can play the ball a bit more, even if it's not Amrabat? Is it as simple as that, or do you think Mount was the wrong signing? I don't think you can drop Bruno just because of
it 100% won't be Bruno, so we can rule that one out.
Just ignore it, yeah.
I think if he does come in the door tomorrow, I think the one that he replaces is Mount, but I don't think that is the foreseeable future. I think, like you said, it could potentially be Amrabat, Mount, and Bruno long term. The only problem is like I feel like it doesn't even need to be that dramatic. Just somebody come help the defense out and come get the ball. I see Bruno do it tons of times last year, which suggests to me that it's an instruction, because he was coming deep so much last year, and this year it doesn't happen. Mount definitely doesn't do it. If Casemiro is going to start, someone has to do it. If it's Martinez coming out, cool, but that doesn't happen. If it's Shaw coming inverted, that hasn't happened. Even Wan-Bissaka is our outball at the moment, and that's not inverted. That's at right back. If you keep, what we do literally is, because Shaw's more comfortable on the ball, we go left first, then the space is on the right, so Wan-Bissaka's our outball. It's so basic. I'll answer your question about the midfield. I would go Casemiro, Amrabat, and Bruno, just because at least we've got something to work with there. If there's an advancement on that with Mount coming in, then great. One thing, we knew we had FFP. This is my biggest confusion. We knew we had FFP restrictions, right? So we knew we were limited on who we could buy or whatever. Then it should have been, what positions do we need? Not a person, what positions do we need? So when I saw Mount in, I just assumed one of the back 4 were coming out. We're not doing that. And that would have been known beforehand. So why didn't we get Amrabat instead of Mount, then chase Mount? Doesn't that make more sense?
Yeah.
I'm confused, bro. It's not good.
Yeah. I do wonder with, like, because obviously I think United were trying to sell like a Maguire or a McTominay to then be able to go and get Amrabat in terms of the FFP.
That's
seems
what
like,
it is, yeah.
Seems like that was the plan.
Yeah.
And now, until something like that happens, doesn't look like that transfer can happen. But once he comes in, something will change with that midfield, and you assume it gets better, because Amrabat going and picking up the ball off the back 4 is really good. And then he can do those things. Like if you want to play him instead of Mount, he can get forward and be effective. And then Bruno can push on. And where I think he's at his absolute best is just in that final third, creating those chances and everything. When you see him for Portugal, he kind of plays that 10 role a lot of the time, and he just runs the game, and he's fantastic. So you can kind of do that as like a 3 and bring back the number 10 role in a way, which some say died for a reason. I don't think it should. I don't think it should have died. Greatest
I
role
think
to ever exist in football.
one thing we do as football fans a little bit too much, and we've all just done it for the last 15 minutes, is literally this. We think of the first 11 or the best 11.
Yeah.
Like football's a squad game. If you had to pick a three-man midfield at Amrabat, Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno, and Mount, cool. That's a good season. That's fine. I'm happy. Whatever that looks like day to day. Maybe you're playing against Man City and you want to go Casemiro, Amrabat. Makes sense. Maybe you're playing against Sheffield United and you can go Eriksen, Amrabat, and Mount, whatever. I don't care. Like, as long as we got those options to fulfill those roles, which we don't have at the moment, I'll be happy.
Yeah, no, that's a great point to make as well, because you can't just play the same midfield three. I think one problem in that midfield is Casemiro, because at Real Madrid, he had two players who would go and get the ball off the back four and come forward. People like to compare like Modric to De Bruyne, which I find hilarious, because a lot of the time you'd see Modric actually in kind of Pirlo type positions, picking the ball up, playing it out, long direct passes or dribbling it past someone and knocking it out wide or whatever it is. You know, that player doesn't really exist at United at the moment. So you need to find something. But I think we've rambled on about that enough, and I think we kind of all agree. We'll move on.
Here all right, but I think we should move on.
Yeah, I didn't realize
United are in the mud.
I'm excited about Haaland being back. He's in my draft.
Yeah, there we go. I reckon it could bang. It could bang the goals in. I really do. Yeah. But it's one of those things. If they need to get in Amrabat, I think, and then we could see the balance of the team change. But it's not, to the extent that maybe people were hoping, perhaps. But there you go. We'll move on now to the 90 seconds game. And it's Connor up first. If you don't know how the 90 seconds game works, we've got, well, it's not the 90 seconds game anymore. It's the football group chat Golden Boot. I've, my notes are back when we used to call it the 90 seconds game. It's not 90 seconds anymore. It's just 5 questions. Everyone throughout the show gets to answer the 5 questions, and whoever wins at the end just gets, to big themselves up for a minute.
You've not made them like impossible, have you?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, guys. My brain's not working today, brother.
Well,
this doesn't make sense for Connor, because if you talk about the 1926, if that even existed, World Cup, Connor would know, but it's this side. It's this side. So if the harder it is, the easier it is.
I just need actually to put a pre-warning in saying I'm not joking. My brain is fried, so I'm going to get 0. I'm going to put it out there now.
Okay, yeah. What above 0, and that's a win for you.
Oh, it's a win. If I get 1, mate, I'll be buzzing today. Yeah.
All right, Connor, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Which team plays at St Andrews?
Birmingham.
Correct. Who won the 2008-09 Golden Boot in the Premier League?
That's not a very kind question, is it? Was that the year Ronnie was there? Was that the year he left? Who won the league? I'll just go with Ronaldo, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
I'm fairly sure Ronaldo got 18. The Golden Boot winner got 19. It was Anelka.
Yeah.
Question number 3. Which Coventry City striker was joint Golden Boot winner in 1997-98?
Leon Dublin.
Correct. Question number 4. What year did Aberdeen win their Cup Winners' Cup?
Ooh, was it 82?
It was 83.
Oh, good effort. That's a solid effort.
82, 83, but you're wrong. And then the final one is a career path question. So this player started their career at Rennes in France. He then moved to Inter for a season. He then moved to Manchester United, where he won many trophies. He then moved to Arsenal, then Werder Bremen, then Portland Timbers. And I think he ended up in the Indian Super League or something, but I can't remember.
United, then Arsenal. Is there
after
time?
I think around 2008.
It's not Sylvester, is it?
It is.
Oh, giving bonus clues now, are we? I say it is.
Well, if you ask for them, I'll give them to you as well.
You know what actually gave that away was the fact he finished his career in the Indian Super League.
Wait, who was it? Sorry, who was the answer?
Mikael Sylvester.
Oh, great shout.
Oh, I should have got 4. I should have got Aberdeen.
Yeah. Well, no.
You got 4 out of 5 and missed the cup final
3.
Oh,
by a year.
You got 3.
I got 3. I didn't get
Anelka, yeah.
Oh yeah. That was Anelka.
Yeah, the cup that was a good effort on the cup one. That was the one that I thought was the hardest in there.
Yeah, that was solid.
Oh, I knew that though. Fair enough.
All right, we now move on to the debate of the week, and this week we're talking about Chelsea's transfer strategy. Is it any good? so far under Todd Bowley over this summer in January and last summer, they've spent £850 million.
Fuck yeah.
That's about 1 billion euros. That's a net spend of £575 million under a net spend, cancelling out the players that they've sold. £575 million under Todd Bowley. Curtis, will go straight in with you. Is this strategy any good? Obviously, with the amortization as well in there, that's also going to be spread over a long period of time. So, is it any good?
Is it any good? I think it's baffling because I think no one has ever done, to this extent, no one's ever done this, right? Bowley's come in with his big consortium of billionaires from America, and they've just gone, I mean, in a way, right, they're all businessmen. They're all very successful businessmen with very, very good businesses, and they obviously handle billions and billions of pounds of assets in their main business.
Yeah, they're financial men, aren't they?
They are financial men. So I think anyone would be lying if they came out and said that they haven't got a clue what they're doing. I mean, there has to be, there literally has to be some sort of strategy here and some sort of planning. I mean, I'll give him his dues. He's found these loopholes so far that no one else found. No one else thought to do this whole spreading out over the years of the contract. Obviously, UEFA then plugged that loophole. The Premier League are now going to do it as well. So, like, it's not like we're not breaking. I don't know. I don't think we're breaking the rules. We probably are at some stage. But it's a ballsy strategy, because what it comes down to is the fact you've now got these young players who are, majority of them 23 and below, who you've spent in excess of £100 million on numerous. Caicedo, Mudryk, like there's a lot of money being spent, and what it does, it backfires if they don't produce, because then you're stuck with these players who are on 7, 8, even Enzo. I mean, Enzo won't backfire because he's so good, but it will backfire if you've got a player like Mudryk, for example, who hasn't hit the ground yet, who in 2 years' time, he's still got a 6-year contract, and his value might be 20 or 30 mil because he's just not the player they think he is. That's where it's going to be. That's where it's going to be tricky, and that's where we're going to lose a lot of money. And in 3 or 4 years' time, we could be in a bad place. That's where the risk comes in. Obviously, their plan is they want immediate success. You can tell they want immediate success, and their way of going about it is to splash the cash. And I get that, and I think you've got to say fair play to them, because they've bought the club. Obviously, Roman made sure when he sold it that they have to have Bowley and the consortium now have got it for like 9 years plus. They can't just suddenly jump ship and sell it again. So Roman left it in good hands, I hope. But yeah, the strategy itself is definitely a ballsy one. It's definitely one that could backfire. But like I said, I think the way they're looking to do things and the loopholes they're trying to do with these contracts for over 8 years, I'd like to think they know what they're doing. But like I said, no one really knows. We don't know how much they actually know. And yeah, I don't think we'll find out for a couple of years whether it works. I mean, if we go ahead and win the Prem in the next year or two, you say, well, it's worth it. One thing I will say, obviously, there you touched on the net spend, which I think some people like to overlook. Some people like to think, oh yeah, we spent $1 billion. But we're a very good selling club. We always have been, especially since even in the Roman era when we had Marina, who was running it for him. She was like known globally in football as like the toughest negotiator. She made sure that we got sales for players for good prices, and that seems to have carried on, because I mean, players like Koulibaly we bought last year for what, 30 million, and then let's be honest, he had a stinker, and we sold him for 20. 10 mil loss, not the end of the world, considering he's now 30. What is he, 33? Like all those kind of fringe players that we knew we had to get rid of, that we were in a bad negotiating point for, because everyone in the world in football knew we needed to sell. We needed to basically gut half our squad, which we've done. So the fact that we got like 20 million for Loftus-Cheek, we got 20 million for Ziyech, 20 million for Mendy, this all adds up. And I think, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we obviously haven't spent money, because we've spent the most money ever. However, when you take into effect the sales that we have made as well, I think that does help us.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, go on.
No, you finish off and then we'll
say, just is the strategy, like, do we know what we're doing? I'd like to say so. With the businessmen we've got running the club, I'd like to say so. However, there's definitely a big risk associated with it, for sure.
Yeah. Well, on that net spend that you mentioned, I've got a few stats here. So this season, Chelsea have spent £328 million and they've sold 218. That's a net spend of 110 million, which is a lot less than I think people are kind of like.
Exactly. That's
when they
just
have-
Caicedo. That's literally Caicedo.
Well, yeah. Whereas United this summer have a net spend of 160 million, so that's 50 million pounds more. And obviously, Chelsea have done the bigger contracts to spread it out over a longer time. Will, one of our LiveDuel guys, he just put in the chat. He put, does it just constrict transfer deals later on? Now I'll come to you, Dan, because you are very in on your football finance and how it all works and all that. Do you think this is a good strategy? Again, obviously, last season they spent a lot. This summer, I think it's a lot more reasonable given their sales. And like they didn't go and get Caicedo and Lavia until they had sold like a bunch of those players as well. So it's not like they just spent up front and like, oh my God, we have to panic and then sell. They got a lot of those out and then made those massive signings this summer. Before that, they made some more reasonable signings. So what are your feelings basically and your analysis on on how it works?
My feelings is jealousy, but it's also irrelevant. The finances are absolutely fine. It's affordable. People look way too much into the money that's being spent, i.e., the figure that gets attached to somebody above somebody's head. This is why amortization is going away. The reason why it's going away is because other clubs will look to do it. And Chelsea are absolutely fine with it. They're going to be fine for years and years with it. I'll explain why in a second. But it would. You don't want somebody. Do you remember when Leeds came up? Well, when Leeds got into the Champions League and they tried to overspend, and obviously it backfired. You're going to get clubs like maybe a Brighton or a Brentford going, hang on, there's a window here. We might be able to do something with it. And if that doesn't pay off, that can be catastrophic for the club. I mean, look at places like Bury who don't have a football club anymore, or it's only just come back to life, if you like, in a different name. So no, Chelsea are absolutely fine. The financial year is all anyone cares about. So I'll give you an example. So Curtis touched on Koulibaly. Koulibaly didn't cost Chelsea £30 million that year, just because you'll look at the length of the contract, right? I'm going to make the maths easy just for me. So Koulibaly came in for 30 million. Let's say he was on a 3-year deal. They only actually paid 10 million for that year. He's on 3-year deal, so it'll be £10 million a year. This year, when they sold him for £20 million, their financial year is up by 10 million because they're not looking at 30 million for Koulibaly. Oh, that's a £10 million loss. They only care about this year. So what you're going to pay for Koulibaly this year is £10 million. You sold him for 20. You actually profited £10 million this year. So when you look at Caicedo over 8 years, it's not a £110 million transfer. It's actually, I can't bother to do the maths. I'm going to pretend it was £80 million. Again, it's only £10 million for this particular year. Is that affordable for Chelsea? Yes. Why can't everybody else do it? Because everybody else already has debt. Look at Manchester United. They cannot add to that. Chelsea, if they spent £1 billion this year and everybody was over a 10-year contract, their yearly outgoing for this year would be £100 million. Manchester United can't do that. The debt's already in the billions already. So when Bowley come in his consortium, they purchase Chelsea, it's completely debt-free. There's no more debt on the club. So is it affordable for Chelsea? Well, Will's question was, does it constrict Chelsea's transfer deals later on? Potentially, yeah, but we're talking about like 12, 13 years down the line. We're not talking about any time soon. The way they structure their finances is nothing short of just clever. Amortization will go away, so it won't be this dramatic in the future, but it can still happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's a really good summary because I think most people really don't understand how these football finances work.
It's a lot more in depth, isn't it, than people think. Like you said, Dan, people think Chelsea have just spent 115 million on Caicedo. Now they're going to be in 150 million pounds worth of debt. No, football clubs are not run on. Right, I want your player for 100 million. Here's 100 million pounds. Like,
it's not like going to the shop, is it? It's
exactly.
more like,
you're not going to
more like when you buy a
Caicedo.
phone and you're like,
you're not walking into Tesco's and saying, "Can I have Caicedo, please? Here's 100 million pounds out of my bank." Like, it doesn't work.
It literally can be that. It depends on the deal. So I'll be as quick as I can. So Chelsea, because they've got billions in the bank, right? They have, like you've already mentioned, they're run by billionaires. If they wanted to spend 110 million pounds, then they could just go get it out of their back pocket and go, "Steve, you got that 110 million spare? Yeah, here you go, mate." He can go over and they can pay it straight away. None of that matters until you declare your financial outgoings. When they declare it over the course of the contract. So regardless of what money is exchanged in hands, when people talk about balance in the books, they're talking about that financial year. So that's what they're talking about. The money can exchange hands that day. Because you can see 50 million over 4 years. You see that less and less these days. That's only because the books are what matters, not the cash.
Yeah, no, exactly. If anyone's played Football Manager, get on those monthly installments. They are a lifesaver.
Football Manager's a little bit out of date, but
it is. But like, it's a very basic version of how like football finances actually work. I'm going to run through their signings, players that are still here, very, very quickly. I'm going to come to Connor on it. Enzo, 103 million pounds. I'm doing it in pounds because we're in the UK.
Fuck euros.
Yeah, people always go, "Oh, it's 150 million." It's like, okay,
everyone, why do we now do euros? Like, even when it's like a British club,
I think they pay it in euros. To be fair,
why are they doing that for?
Well, because a lot of the European clubs pay in euros, so it's just easy. Anyway, but I've converted it all to pounds because it's simpler for me. So Enzo, 103 million pounds, Caicedo, 99 million pounds, Lavia, 52, Nkunku, 51, Sterling, 47, Disasi, 38, Badiashile, 33, Jackson, 32, Sanchez, 19.5. Those are the first teamers. I think when you look at their ages, they're all kind of like, that's fair value for all of them. They're not overpaid. Like, Enzo's going to be a world-class midfielder for the next 10 years.
Is a world-class.
Yeah. Caicedo will be. I know he had a bad debut, but like, we all know how good he is.
About
that. And then we've got like some of these more riskier signings because they're for the future. Chukwuemeka, Ugo Chokwu, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Angelo, Datro Fofana, Andre Santos, Gusto, and Madueke. All of those are under 30 million pounds. Some of them are for likes of 15, 13, 10. So at worst, if they're squad members, that's great value considering they're going to be there for at least 10 years, unless they want to sell them potentially for profit. You've then got youth players like Cole or Matson coming through. And then you've then got the risky transfers for Fofana because of his injuries, 68 million. Mudryk, he hasn't quite hit the ground running yet, even though I think the talent is clearly there. It's just about getting it out of him. 60 million. Yeah. And Cucurella, who has been one of the worst signings of the last year, still is a good player. We know that, but it's about finding the right system. If you can offload him for 30 million, Chelsea will probably look at that as a good piece of business. Other ones they can offload, Lukaku, Gallagher, and Broja, who will also all command reasonable fees as well. So there's players there that you can sell, and it won't really affect the squad. Connor, I want to ask you two things, basically. What were your thoughts before this conversation, and has that changed since everything's been said?
No, because I didn't think Chelsea's transfer business was that bad. I do think, obviously, we live in a reactionary football world. As soon as Caicedo gives away a penalty, and as soon as Enzo the penalty, they decide that they're flop signings and they're no good and whatever. But people with brains know that isn't true, and that they will. Caicedo, obviously, I think will be one of those Brighton to Chelsea signings that will actually work. I mean, Cucurella, these ones didn't work. That one probably will work. Maybe Chelsea should block Brighton's number after this if it doesn't work, though. But my opinion hasn't changed on any of it. And also, just another thing about transfer. I'm not claiming to know anything up to the same level as any of you about the way finances in football work, because I really, really don't pay as much attention to the finances of the football world. But one thing, when United sign anyone for 70, 80 mil, maybe I'm different to you guys, but I never think like, we've overpaid. I never actually think about the price that we've paid for a player, because at the end of the day, it ain't coming out of my pocket. I just want to see the player. Like when I saw Harry Maguire for 80 mil back in the day, I think we've overpaid for Harry Maguire quite a lot. I just thought, is Harry Maguire going to be any good? These football clubs are too rich for me to care about how much they're paying on players, to be completely honest. They're far too rich for that. They know that they're going to make money doing their own things with their shirt sales and their season ticket sales and whatnot. So when people say this club's overpaid, everyone's overpaid. A human being is not worth 80 million pounds. It just is. And for that reason, I just think people who want to cry about Chelsea's business,
it's jealousy, isn't it? Really, like
it is jealousy. That's what it is.
Yeah, I told you it was jealousy at the start.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I think that I'm intrigued that we all kind of had a similar kind of outlook on that, because all I see online is just reactionary. But when you actually look into it, it actually looks like like Angelo looks like a player, £13 million. If he hits the heights that he's gonna, or that I think he could anyway, that could be one of the best signings, of the year. But we won't know until 2 or 3, maybe 4 years down the line. But
Yeah.
it will still be a great signing. Andre Santos looks like a great player. Gusto for 25 million, with the amount of injuries that Reece James has, is going to be a really impressive piece of business. So it's like there's those ones, and there's obviously the bigger players who are already proven, and I think will at minimum, it's just they'll provide you a very good level for a long period of time. And if it's 10 million a year for those players, but over 10 years, then that's great. That is interesting, though, that we all had the same opinion, or at least a similar one. Let us know in the chat or in the comments if this conversation has changed your mind, because I think most people, at least when I'm looking through Twitter, I think most people are talking absolute nonsense about it. But there you go.
It's just a lack of understanding, man. That's all it is.
It's idiots. You're all idiots.
Yeah. And then we'll move on now to the next round of the Golden Boot game. Daniel, it is you.
Offside. If you're still in the chat, just if you know the answer, you know what to do.
There you go.
It's not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can't ask the audience.
Get your Google.
No, I'm not asking offside, not the audience. If he's there,
get your Google workers in the chat, and that.
I think he's gone because he would have answered by now.
Okay. Anyway, are you ready, Dan?
Just go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Which team play at the Riverside Stadium?
Middlesbrough.
Correct. Who won the first Premier League Golden Boot?
Teddy Sheringham.
Correct. Who scored the winner for Man United in the 1990 FA Cup final?
Mark Robbins.
No. I know why you thought that,
though. Because that was the goal which saved Fergie's career.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it's
gone. I don't want to know the answer anymore.
Lee Martin. Question number 4. What year did Celtic win their European Cup?
Sorry, say the question again. I just got the answer.
What year did Celtic win their European Cup?
Oh, I've got no idea. 76?
67.
Oh.
Other way around. And number 5, this is a career path question. So this player started their career at Queen's Park, then moved to St Johnstone, then moved to Dunfermline, then moved to Rangers, then moved to Falkirk, then moved to Ayr United.
Sir Alex Ferguson.
Correct.
Fair play. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I was like, he's either going to know that one or he won't.
I got it.
So you got Borough, Sheringham.
Got 3 as well.
It was Lee Martin, wasn't it?
Lee Martin.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
It was in my video. You claimed to watch
I knew it anyway. Mark
Robbins.
Mark Robinson's goal saved for Sir Alex Ferguson's career, and that was third round, was it?
And then he also scored the winner in the semi-final as well.
Yeah.
I knew this. The pressure.
I knew the answer to that question because I watched your video earlier.
Yeah, Curtis, you are going to need to get 4 to win, which I think is doable, personally.
Boys, it's not happening, fellas. It's not happening. I can't see straight, let alone answer quiz questions.
But if you get 3, well, then there'll be a...
if I get 3, boys, I'll be buzzing.
Is there a question about dead man's fingers in there?
Oh, no. Mate, I need some... Maybe I should just start drinking again.
Maybe.
Hair of the dog.
Anyway, we'll move on now to our 2v2 section. This is where a bit of a debate section during the show, where even if we don't actually think something, we might choose to argue a certain way just for the sake of winning the argument. So in this 2v2 section, we're going to be talking about Villa and Brighton. Then we'll be talking about Ange Postecoglou and can he get Spurs into the top 4? And then should Tomiyasu have been sent off? So it is me and Connor on the right side of the screen. Against Dan and I was going to call you Toby, just getting all the Chelsea people mixed up in my head. Much better than Toby. Curtis.
Thank you.
Significantly taller than Toby.
So much.
And doesn't record on a potato either. So. Okay, so the first one is Villa or Brighton. Who are the biggest challengers to the Big 7, which now includes Newcastle? Look, just accept it if you don't believe it.
That's bollocks.
Just accept it. So, Dan, I'm going to let you go first, then Connor, then Curtis, and I'll finish it off for this one. Oh, wait, I need to get your timer, don't I? Hang on.
Oh, yeah, shit. How long do we get again? 60 seconds.
30 seconds.
Oh, 30
It's
seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds to make your argument. Okay,
Oh,
Dan, are you
God.
ready?
I'm always ready, apart
No,
from the
that's
questions.
minutes. Oh, we don't want 30 minutes. Hang on.
Oh,
There
my
we go.
brain can't
Give me
function
30
an
minutes, I'll
argument.
take 30 minutes.
So Villa or Brighton, who are the biggest threat to Premier League's Big Seven? 3, 2, 1.
Player for player, name for name, I think Villa's squad, Villa's starting 11 and Villa's calibre of manager look better on paper. But football, my friend, is played on grass. Proactive football versus regressive and reactive football. Brighton have got a significantly better chance. They're a better football club, better football team. And I'm talking about the team right now, not the club's history. But for this season, and the question was, who's the biggest threat? It's Brighton.
Bosh.
There we go.
Am I not allowed to agree with him? Do I have to go Villa?
You can say what you want. It's just it's
It's
about
the
the
argument.
argument. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. Are you ready, Connor?
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
I also think that Brighton are the biggest threat to the top 7 compared to Aston Villa and compared to any other side in the league, really. I think Villa have a great manager. I think they've got a few good players, but I think the way Brighton are run is a very, very efficient way to run a football club. I don't think people should be comparing it to how Southampton used to be, which some people do because they're selling all their best players. I think Brighton are much more well-run than Southampton. I would go as far to say Brentford are probably even a bigger threat to Aston Villa because of the way they are run.
Bosh.
Ready? Yeah. Okay. And Curtis, are you ready?
As ready as I will possibly ever be, yes.
Why is my partner hungover? How have I got this?
Brother, I'm
Come
sorry.
on, Curtis.
Come on!
Wait, drunk people often. Well, he's not drunk; he's hungover. So that
Brother, my
defeats
brain-
that point.
That point can
Okay.
go out the window.
3, 2, 1, go.
Same as you boys, I do agree. I think Brighton have got a much better chance than Villa to get into the top 7. I'm going to take a slightly different approach, actually. This will win us the argument, Dan. Don't you worry. I could even waste time talking about this. I had some significant intel. This is legit as well. That Tony Bloom, whatever he's called, the owner of Brighton, has got this significant transfer intel in South America. In the next couple of years, they're going to be pulling wonder kids out of their ears, and Brighton are going to win the league in the next 5 years. Bosh. How's like those apples, Dan?
I'm not sure about the last sentence. It was good.
Yeah, maybe I got carried away in that last bit.
Yeah, a little bit. He saw the clock run down and he panicked. He was
Yeah,
gonna win the
I did.
league.
I shit myself.
Right,
Right, Enno, do you want me to time you?
if you could, yeah, mate. I've
Yeah.
got to make a
See?
decision. Who am I going to go with?
All right, 30 seconds. Your time starts now.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say Brighton are the bigger threat. And the reason for that isn't so much to do with Brighton, which you guys have laid out well. It's to do with Villa. If you look at Unai Emery's career, he actually often underachieves in the league on what he should do. It's weird. I know he's did very well with Aston Villa at the end of last season, but that is new manager bounce, I reckon. I think with European football, he's going to focus so much on that, and they're just going to drop points here and there, whereas Brighton will push on further and prioritise the league more. You know, I think that's a fairly even debate.
Nah, I'm down pissed at.
You said they were going to win the league. I don't know what to do with that information.
I think his point about like the scouting network.
It was so good until the end.
It's not so good for this season.
Let's get this right. I did panic at the end. They're not going to win the league, but they're going to be up there. They're not going to have a dip. They're going to maintain it because of these wonder kids.
I would back us to the hill and back if it was like a 28
All right, let's cut all that last bit. I think Enno just waffled.
I made a good point.
Brighton have also got European football.
Yeah, but I said they would focus more on the league because Emery loves his European. Anyway,
I think we need to go to a vote again.
what I was going to do was I was going to say I was going to cast my vote on who I thought won. And the reason for this is because I read this question as for this season. That's how I thought. But the question doesn't actually state this season. So what Curtis's point, and I think the best argument of all, he's thinking longer term. And that's why I would vote for Curtis and Dan.
And we fucking done it, baby.
I'm so proud of you, man. You promised me and you delivered. So.
I delivered, mate. I had that.
Do you know what? I'm never going to doubt the hungover version of you ever again.
I'm glad I proved myself, boys. What's next? Let's go again. I'm fired up.
All right. Well, next up is will Ange Postecoglou get Spurs? Wait, did we all agree that those guys won?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we all agree. Will Ange get top 4 with Spurs? This is this season. I'm putting a stamp on it this season because you could say,
Okay.
oh, yeah, in the next 5 years, I reckon he will. This season.
But this season, okay.
Yeah. Can you time me? I'll go first. Curtis, Connor, Dan. Opposite
Yes,
orders.
sir.
I'm
Whenever
ready.
you're ready. 3, 2, 1.
Yes, they will get top 4 this season. And I've actually been thinking this. And I put a tweet out the other day and I've backed myself on this now. I think they will because I back Ange Postecoglou, right? He's Australian. He likes to get in, but he plays beautiful, beautiful football, but he plays effective football as well. The players he's got, I think if they sign a striker, it's guaranteed. Even without a striker, I think they're better than United. Ten Hag's a fraud. And look, I'm an Arsenal fan, so my opinion, saying Spurs will get top 4 means more. I think
Strong start.
I like that argument.
Strong start.
I'm an Arsenal fan, so therefore I'm right.
Is it me?
Well, on this, it is you now, Curtis. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
So will Tottenham get top 4? The answer is a resounding no. Their squad it's not deep enough to get top 4. Let's be honest. And their midfield, don't get me wrong, they've started well. I think it's a new manager bounce. They've got whatever he's called, Papsar, who's this geezer. They just not got the squad depth. Essentially, for a 38 game season, they haven't got the squad depth. They've got Dane Scarlett as their backup striker. Richarlison's shite, and they just haven't got the squad depth to challenge the other top 4. Fact.
Wow. There's a point in there. There is a point.
Right. Dan, bring it home, baby.
Well, Dan's not next. It's Connor.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Is that an Android? I know.
It's like, Gareth just concentrating on his phone. Just dead.
Connor, just check your phone quickly.
The Android processor is trying to work.
Just check your message.
I see that. Yeah.
Something I forgot to mention in mine. Yes, you're allowed to strategize.
You're not doing that.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Go on, Connor. No one's going to stop us.
I don't think Spurs don't have Europe, so they don't have to worry about squad depth, guys. That just came to my head, like, right. so I reckon Spurs will be all right. But what Curtis is right. Richard Arlison, not a good player. Dane Scarlett, not a good player. And I could probably name City, Arsenal. Apart from them two, who else can come up with Tottenham? It's up for debate. That's my point. So I think they could possibly get top 4 playing good football.
That one made a noise. The other ones didn't.
This is rigged. The small print says no texting partners.
I don't think it does, mate.
Dan, I believe in you, baby. Come on.
Dan, are you ready?
I don't know if 30 seconds is going to be enough, but
okay.
We'll see.
3, 2, 1.
Ange is a fraud, and the reason why he's a fraud is because he's not actually Australian. He was born in Athens, in Greece. He's a good manager, though, so they could potentially make top 4. I think there is a lot of reliance on Richarlison coming good in the number 9. I do think he can. I think they probably should swap their wingers over, but who am I to say? He knows what he's doing. I think the squad depth is fine without European football. They've got 6 centre mids to rely on. The back 4 are okay. My biggest reason why they will get top 4 is Liverpool, United, and Chelsea aren't there yet.
Oh, that was a good ending sentence.
Stole our point.
Yeah. You also said
I didn't say you didn't mention him being Greek.
He's Greek. Yeah, that's facts.
He's Greek, bro. He's born in Greece.
And
he sounds like he just watched a lot of the Big Les show growing up, and he caught in the
Greek
accent.
miracle. 20 years later. You know.
In my opinion, I think Gareth's argument was the best out of the 4, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, probably.
I think Connor made the best point.
Yeah,
that point about squad depth.
You can have that one.
Their centre mids are fine. I just like their system, man. Like I always look at systems and balance than I do over individuals. And like their centre mids, like you got Højbjerg, Bentancur, Sarr, Bissouma.
Yeah, but they're all
Maddison.
in my opinion, they're all okay. Madison, I'd say, but the rest of them, they're all okay. Like they're not.
Bissouma's going to be good this year, man.
Yeah, maybe Bissouma
and
Madison.
Bentancur just runs a lot, and if we had somebody who ran a lot, we wouldn't have lost to Spurs.
I just can't believe how long that text message took for Gareth to send. That's the Android text.
No, that is the Android processor. It stinks.
They need more players, but like,
are they going to spend this 100 mil from Kane or what?
They're
Yeah,
going to
they
get a
will. I think they
striker,
will.
surely.
I think they'll probably get a striker, yeah. And
Someone
Get
from like Belgium league.
Mediterranean.
maybe another fullback, probably. I mean, they got like Davis, Porro.
Who's that one they signed?
Udogie?
Is it Adogi? Adogi? He's quite good.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
He looks sharp, yeah.
I liked what
Yeah.
I saw of him in Serie A last year.
I don't
Anyway,
know, and their keeper looks all right as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
yeah, I like
he
what I
looks
saw of
good.
him in Serie A, all 3 games, 3 or 4 anyway. He was
But-
really good against Roma, really good.
He was good against
Oh.
United. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, there you go. He's a good keeper. Not the greatest, but he's good.
They seem to have their idea of what their football looks like more than anyone else other than Arsenal and City.
Yeah, fair.
Oh, Newcastle. Sorry, Newcastle,
Yeah.
Spurs, and the other 2. Yeah,
But Newcastle finished 3rd and Spurs finished 4th.
yeah, potentially, man. I can see it.
Anyway, we'll move on now to our final round of the 2v2.
The
This
decider.
is to the decider, yeah. Should Tomiyasu have been sent off? For this one, I'm going to go Dan, me, Curtis, Connor.
Yeah, cool. I like that.
Curtis Connor. Absolute fraud. All right. Oh, I need to get my timer back out.
Come on, Daniel.
Dan, are you ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Yes, he should have been sent off. And not because the 2 yellow cards should have been yellow cards. I think the time wasting one was needed. I am fed up of people time wasting, taking a long time on throws. I am fed up of that professional foul. You used to be allowed 1, and then your second one's a yellow, then you're allowed another one. You're effectively giving away 30 fouls a game for free if you wanted to break up counter-attacks. It drives me insane. Something needed to be done about it. If they're going to make an example out of Tomiyasu, of all people, I'm all right with that. He plays for Arsenal. I don't actually think it should have been 2 yellows, but for my agenda, it should.
Right, you've lost.
Bro,
don't
I'm
actually-
so fed up of professional fouls. It drives me.
I
I
mean-
didn't mind professional fouls when it wasn't introduced as a tactic, and it bores me to death, man.
I think that was a great start, Dan. We got this, man.
I thought so. You carry
Yeah,
home,
a
bro.
great start where you disagree with your own opinion in your argument. And then called it agenda.
That's a sign of pure genius.
It is.
Reverse
According to some
psychology.
people. Anyway, someone get a
bored.
timer up.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I'm on it.
next.
On it. Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Hit it.
No, Tomiyasu should not have been sent off. And I see the point about the time wasting, I do. But if you're going to book anyone, it should have been Kai Havertz because he was the one messing around with the ball. Tomiyasu throws it pretty much as soon as he possibly can. Rules exist for a reason. You should not be booking Tomiyasu in that situation. Kai Havertz, fair enough. And then he got a yellow card later, so send him off if you want. The second yellow isn't a foul. Ayew dives, so it's categorically not. So he should not have been sent off. You can argue about the time wasting one. Second one isn't. And
Bosh.
with that, Dan is ruined.
No, I do agree. Like it wasn't like Tomiyasu's fault. 'Cause obviously, he had the 8 seconds, and Kai Havertz had the fit. So it was kind of like an Arsenal like.
I know, but he
infringement
should
on
but,
the rules.
but in
So
which
he should
case-
just gave them
give
all a
it
yellow
Havertz.
card.
Yeah, book them both. I agree.
Havertz. Either way, the second one isn't, so it's not standing off. So I've won it.
Nah,
there,
the second
so
one was. It wasn't a foul. It wasn't.
it's
But
time.
they need to
Should
get.
have-
Like they need
should have
to.
been a second yellow for Ayew, and then he should have had a second yellow. I'm not going
I
to get
hope
angry.
4 people get
Curtis,
sent off.
are
4
you
people
ready?
get sent off at the weekend just for professional
man.
fouls, and I'll be happy.
Yeah. As long as they don't play for Arsenal, I'll take it. Curtis, 3,
Yeah.
2, 1.
So should Tomiyasu been sent off? The answer is no. Let's be honest. The time wasting one was very harsh. As previously mentioned, you can't just suddenly book one player because the other player waited time. And the second one, it definitely wasn't a dive from Ayew because I think he lost his footing. There was a slight touch in the back. I wouldn't have booked him for a dive. However, it's extremely soft. And the issue is there's just a lack of consistency from the referees. So if you're going to book a player for a foul like that, then there's going to be red cards every single game. It's going to slow the game down as well. So should he have been sent off? No.
Correct opinion, but basically just waffled on what I said.
Oh, Enno, grow up, will you?
I get weirdly competitive on this
Yeah,
game.
but I mean, how much more can you make on the point? Like, he shouldn't have been
Mate.
booked.
You should have argued the other point then.
No, because I don't believe it.
For the sake of the game. Well, that's your fault. Connor,
Yeah.
are you ready?
Yeah.
Bring it home. And count you down.
Okay, well, anyway, the one thing I hate more than professional fouls, I agree with Dan, I hate professional fouls, but the one thing I hate more than it is players jumping on the floor at the slightest bit of contact. That wasn't as bad as a professional foul I've seen. Tomiyasu's hand was on his shoulder for about half a millisecond. Ayew jumps to the ground, but referees are on a power trip. It has to be about himself. The only way he can make it about himself is to send Tomiyasu off. So that's what he did. And you were right about the other yellow card. It should have gone to Havertz. He had the ball for 15 seconds. Tomiyasu had it for 6 seconds. Havertz should have got booked and not Tomiyasu.
See, if I would have went fourth, I would have smashed that. My opinion's completely changed, but I've got a good one now.
Also, going fourth, you've got the best point because you can just take everyone else's points and throw it all together.
No.
Yeah, yes.
No, if someone makes a point originally, it's their point. Anyway, we've obviously won that because I smashed it first of all. But Connor, he brought up a new point. He brought up the point about referees making it about themselves.
Power trip was a good point.
I had to try and think something.
I think we've taken that.
It's up to you. It's up to them two to decide.
You can, as long as professional fouls start getting out of the game. Like I don't mind.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
It's the worst part of football. Your centre midfielder picks up a ball. He runs about 2 or 3 yards. The whole crowd stand up. And then you just get somebody just pull on his shirt or something. I agree. Take a yellow card. Settles up 1 minute to take the free kick. Just ball off. Yellow card.
In football. Football used to be more exciting when that wasn't a thing.
Tomiyasu should have had a red for that second one.
If it helps you boys sleep at night, you can fucking win, all right?
Oh, baby.
Right, well, Curtis, you get ready because it's your round in the Golden Boot quiz now. You're going to get 4 out of 5. I maybe even 5 out of 5. I believe in you. Are you ready?
Yeah, come on, boys.
Remember, if you want a hint, I might give it.
I don't need hints. I'm not a cheater. Let's just do this. Come on.
Okay. Question number 1. What team plays at Ewood Park?
Blackburn.
Correct. Question number 2. Who won the Premier League Golden Boot in 2000-2001?
Kevin Phillips.
No, I think that was the year before. It was Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank for Chelsea.
Oh, fucking dick.
Was he at Leeds at that point? I can't remember. Question number 3. Who was the first Chelsea manager to win 3 trophies in the same year?
My brain is not functioning. Vialli.
Correct. We're on for this. All we need is one more to tie it. Question number 4. Think about this one. In what year did Rangers last reach a European final?
22, 23 season. Well, they were in the Europa League. They're in the Europa League final.
Yeah, in 2022.
Yeah.
You had it right the first time, and then you changed your answer.
Oh, 21, 22.
Yeah. You're so close. Anyway, we got one more. We got one more chance.
Yeah, come on, brain, work.
This is a player's career.
Oh, so God, I hate these. I'm so bad at these.
Just think about it. He started his career at Santos. He then moved. Well, it's kind of complicated because he moved to Chelsea, but went on loan to PSV for 3 years, but then came back to Chelsea and played for Chelsea for a few years. So Santos, PSV on loan, Chelsea, PSG, and then AC Milan is where he retired. Santos to Chelsea, to PSV, back to Chelsea, PSG in France, and then Milan to retire. If you want a hint, I will give it you.
I know my brain, honestly, can't process information.
Centre back. Started his career at Santos. Where's Santos, Curtis?
Yeah, but I was going to say David Luiz, but I don't think it is.
But you don't think it is, so
no,
you didn't.
I'm going to go with it, but my brain doesn't work.
Oh, are you sure? Loved a free kick, banged one in.
Oh, it's fucking Alex.
He's got it!
Wait, hold on a minute.
No. Back of the net.
He never said David Luiz. He never finalised it.
Did he not?
Yes.
When he said, I'm going to go with David Luiz, I guess.
I don't think I heard that.
I was just playing with you.
No, he said, I think I'm going to go with it. He didn't finalise it.
I'm here for a 3-way tiebreak. I'm here.
Yes, that's what I wanted. Come on, Curtis. 3 out of 5.
Brain, honestly, you don't understand how hard I was thinking then.
I could see it.
I was just like, please work.
Right, we'll move on now to our game week 3.
Because my brain.
Yeah, I was glad you got that one because I was like, he might just go like Mourinho out of nowhere, but
nah.
Did Mourinho?
I also should have got the Rangers one. If I'd have thought about the Rangers one a little bit longer, I should have got that, shouldn't I?
That's part of why I was giving you like a bit more because you did know that, but just hungover.
Who beat them again?
Hmm?
Who beat them in the final?
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt.
Oh,
that was it.
Frankfurt.
I was going to say
yeah,
Sevilla because it's always them, but it wasn't.
Sevilla.
Okay, game week 3 predictions. We'll rattle through this fairly quickly, and then we'll get onto the tiebreaker to end it. So first up, we've got Newcastle versus Liverpool, probably the biggest game on the weekend. I'm going to ask you to keep this short, but give me a little bit more than the scoreline. Give me your reasoning for why. Let's go with Dan first.
It's so hard to predict because I've said a million times is if Liverpool get that centre defensive midfielder sorted, I reckon you're going to see a different animal from them. The problem is you've only got one of them. The second problem is if he gets injured, then you're back to square one. Third problem is we don't know if he's any good.
We're not talking about the season. We're just their game against Newcastle.
Newcastle, because I don't know enough about Liverpool.
What's the score going to be, Dan?
2-0.
2-0. Nice.
Okay.
Curtis?
Is that St James's Park, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it will be a score draw. I think both teams have got capabilities of scoring. I think both teams have got capabilities of conceding. Liverpool look good going forward, so do Newcastle. I'm going for a solid, entertaining game of 2-2.
Very, very nice. Good logic to that. Connor?
Let me go for the clip real quick. Isaac makes it 1-0, nice and early. Alexander Isak. Then Mo Salah makes it 1-1. Later in the game, when Callum Wilson comes on for his cameo, he makes it 2-1. And then right at the end of the game, to get me my fantasy draft points, Trippier curls in a free kick. Newcastle 3, Liverpool 1.
That's not a bad prediction.
3-1. Nice.
It's the same as mine. I'm going 3-1 because I think actually I'm going to go 3-2. Screw it. Newcastle, Liverpool always have good games. Going to go 3-2 because Liverpool are so good going forward. But I think Newcastle are going to win that midfield battle and be able to dominate the game. Let's go with Mo Salah's going to get on the score sheet because he loves it. Probably a penalty. We're going to go with Darwin Núñez off the bench for Liverpool's 2 goals. And then we'll go with Isak will get one. Tonali will get one because he's in my draft. And Harvey Barnes will score the winner off the bench last minute. He's in my draft. We'll move on now to Arsenal versus Fulham. Fulham don't look quite as good as last season, do they?
No.
Arsenal, I liked the performance against Palace up until the sending off. So I'm going to go with a nice, comfortable 3-0. I'm going to be optimistic. 3-0. Saka, Ødegaard, Declan Rice will get on the score sheet. Connor, we'll go in reverse order this time.
4-0. Saka 2, Martinelli 1, Ødegaard 1. Nice.
Curtis?
Yeah, I think that was too strong, but I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be a walk in the park, but I think solid 2-0, like a comfortable 2-0.
Yeah, I was going to go with that.
Probably Saka and a cheeky Saliba header. Oosh.
Nice. I like that thing. I'd rather Gabriel because he's in my fantasy, and I'm not selling him. I'm not selling him.
Yeah, give it to him.
Now is the wrong time to sell. He's going to score a goal next week. Actually, I'm changing my prediction. Gabriel will score for my fantasy. Dan?
Every time Arsenal are at home and the opposition is not Manchester City, I just think it's cocktails out. Just sit back in your deck chair and just enjoy football because Arsenal will win the game. I'm going to go 0-0 at half-time, but Arsenal still winning 2-0 fairly early on in the goals as well. 80th minute comes by, it's 2-0. Arsenal just knocking the ball about at the back. Can't see Fulham scoring, let alone away against Arsenal. I don't know where their goals are coming from anyway, so 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, no Mitrovic anymore. He scored against us last year, but we were quite comfortable against them last year. And,
no issues with that.
Yeah. So, right, we'll move on to Man United. We spoke about them earlier in the show. Dan, what is your prediction at home against Nottingham Forest?
We're good against Forest, and this is going to paper over the cracks as well. I think we'll win. I'll go 2-1 United. It'll be a horrible game to watch. If you've got any laundry to put on or anything like that, I'd probably opt for that over the game. That's how excited I am about it. I just want to see us be able to play out from the back, and I'll be a happy man. I think it's going to be just some horrible cross to flex off of 3 people and maybe a Luke Shaw tapping at the back post, and it would end up 2-1 United.
Fair enough.
Okay, that is my draft.
Connor, what are your thoughts?
I'll go with a shit game of football that I can't wait to travel 2 hours to watch because I support my local. Casemiro makes it 1-0. Haaland makes his debut, makes it 2-0, and the game ends 2-0, and nobody had any fun.
Fair enough. Curtis?
Obviously, I'm going to go left field. I'm going to go for 1-0 Forest. Steve Cooper, masterclass. Park that bus, score an 83rd minute winner. Awaniwi on the break, just fucking shoulder barges everyone out of the way and kicks it in the net. And then we wait for Dan, Connor, and Dill's TikToks, and we erupt in the comments.
Dan is looking like that. He thinks that might actually happen.
I just heard the words "park the bus" and thought we ain't breaking them down, are we?
Hey, I'm telling you now, they're going to sit up a solid back 4-5-1, hit the ball long. If you can't break them down, mate, it's written in the stars. Up the Forest.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give people an FPL tip here because get Awaniwi in because he's going to bully Lisandro the vegan.
The small man, same size as Tobes.
Yeah, literally same height as Toby. Actually, I think he might even be smaller than Toby if that's possible. No, he's not. He's actually an inch taller, but there you go. That's just how small Toby is. Awaniwi's going to absolutely bully him anyway. Pick him up, put him on his shoulder and head it in the back of the net. But I think United will manage to break him down. I'm going to go 1-1.
That's the other one I was going for. It could be 1-1.
Yeah, I think it will be.
I think realistically, you will probably
that whole conversation was depressing.
Do you believe that more than your own prediction?
Yeah, I believe Curtis's.
Yeah. Yes. No, mine's most realistic, I think.
I think 1-0 was more realistic, yeah.
Chelsea versus Luton. Curtis, come to you first as you're the Chelsea fan.
I mean, without waffling too much, I think our performances against Liverpool. I mean, we lost 3-1 to West Ham. I know you boys saw the game. We weren't that bad. I think there's going to be a bit of anger coming out, and I can see a solid. Do I think we can keep a clean sheet? Probably not. So I'm going to go 3-1. Pretty straightforward. Jackson to get off the mark. Sterling good against West Ham, so he might bag, and then maybe Chilwell.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that. To be fair, I was going to go 2-1. Similar kind of idea, but just a little bit more difficult. But I think we go like 2-0 up and end up conceding and then just see the game out. I'm going to go 2 Chilwell assists because I got him in both my fantasy teams, my draft and my actual one. So that'd be nice. I want to see Sterling score because I like him. And Saicedo, just because it'd be funny after he had a bad debut. Dan?
Every time you say you like someone, I just picture you with the Stella bottle. I can't help it. Like it's just ingrained in my head. I know no one can see it.
When you clip this, someone, can you please insert that image?
Oh,
you have my permission.
Raheem. Chelsea look good to me. Again, I look more of performances rather than results. I think it's short-sighted to look at results. That second half against West Ham was bad, though.
Oh, really bad. Yeah.
That would be my only worry, but there was a little bit of chasing the game there. I think if Chelsea get that penalty in score, I think it goes on to be comfortable. They look good.
I think we win that game 3-1, 4-1 if Enzo scores.
Also, it's just Moyes' ball, isn't it? With Ward-Prowse and all that, it's just like
kick it to Antonio.
A freak result, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Chelsea at home as well. Luton travelling. They still haven't had a home game just because obviously their stadium isn't ready. Chelsea comfortable 2-0. Nick Jackson looks a player, by the way. I really like him. He can bag both, and an Enzo assist, and Raheem Sterling can have an assist because Enzo likes the ball.
Connor, what about yourself?
Chilwell makes it 1-0. Paulton Porris makes it 1-1, and then last minute Jackson makes it 2-1. Chelsea win, and Mudryk gets the assist because I've still got him in all my teams because I will not on him. That's not true. I took him out of my actual fantasy team.
Come on, Mudryk.
The one that matters.
Yeah.
I don't really mind how it goes. Like Dan said, the performance is obviously more important than results. However, we do just need to win a game now. So I'll take a 1-0, scrappy 1-0 as long as we get 3 points.
Yeah, no, there's nothing better than those as well, as I well know after last night. Right, so we now have our golden boot tiebreaker. You both got 3 out of 5, so this one is to win it. And I do have a question.
All 3 of us got 3 out of 5, don't we?
Yeah. So you all can answer. I don't want anyone shouting out the answer. Say your name, and then I'll come to you.
Okay.
And it's who I hear first, so there might be a slight bit of lag, but
I got shagged by this last time because I kept saying my name first and Bill getting it.
Yeah. All right. So the question is, who did Sergio Aguero assist on his Premier League debut?
Curtis.
I'm
just going to go in there first and go for a straight up Yaya Toure.
It's not Yaya.
Connor.
Yeah.
Silva.
Which one?
David.
Yeah, Bernardo wasn't there. It is David Silva.
Oh,
Connor has won. Yeah, if it's a great assist, the ball's like going out.
Yeah, against Swansea.
Shut up, Dan.
I'm lagging, bro.
No.
I was going to say David Silva. I didn't get the answer. What was it?
Well done, Connor.
No, it's not David Silva.
I was going to say Carlos Tevez as a guess.
But... Tevez was the first thing that crossed my mind, to be fair.
I remember they beat Swansea 4-0, and I remember Silva scored, so I just went with that.
Oh,
Yeah,
where he banged one for like 30 yards, didn't he?
yeah,
Like bottom corner, that dipper.
yeah. It's a
No,
great goal.
belter.
Well, I'm glad-
Shame the stadium was half empty by that point.
I'm glad
but
Connor
there you
won then, because at least there was logic to his answer. I just thought, who did he play with back then?
I'm just happy to be here.
go. Right, yeah.
I'm happy you made it.
Wait, I win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You can't.
Should we do a
Let's
second
go.
place tiebreaker as well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
come on, Dan. Let's have
Okay.
it.
Raheem Sterling.
Now I
Sterling.
need to think of one. Wait,
If you haven't got one, we don't have to do one.
No, I want to. I want Curtis to have a moment.
You actively want me to lose, and you're picking the question.
You're going to
Yeah.
shout your name, and he's just going to ignore you.
Yeah. Okay. Who scored the ghost goal against Chelsea in the Champions League?
Curtis.
Only
Round 5. Curtis was there.
Luis Garcia.
Second
you,
place for
Dan.
Curtis. Second place for Curtis. Yeah, well done, Curtis. That's
You lost to a guy who can't even see straight. Have some of that.
Fairly sure I said my name first, but
Yeah, you're miles
it
behind.
actually was Curtis, to be fair.
I don't know what
I would say.
Dan's a lot easier to say.
What would you have said if it was you?
I knew it was Garcia.
Which one?
Also, that ball didn't go in.
Luis.
No, it didn't. So
No.
did he score? Well, you've just said he did. So there you go.
I'm just
Chelsea
making sure
fan
I'm aware of that.
admits
The
that it went
actual
in.
answer was no one.
Correct.
Dan's
Oh,
coming
fine.
second
Dan
place.
can win.
No, you can have second if you said your name first. It's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is the end of the show. Thank you for joining us. Curtis, Connor, Dan, thank you so much. It's been a lovely time with you all. We'll be back next week, similar kind of time, Tuesday at 8. And this has been the Football
Does Connor
Group Chat
get his
on
1
LiveDuel.
minute?
Oh,
minute
yeah,
plug?
Connor, you can see out the show. Just plug
yeah.
anything you want.
Talk about emo punk music.
Nah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have 4. Everyone just don't say any explanation. Just say 4 words. I'll start. It's Champions League winner, Europa League winner, Conference League winner, Euros winner at the end. No explaining. Just say it. All right. I'll go.
What?
I'll go Real Madrid. I'll go Sevilla. I'll go Villa, and I'll go France. Whoever.
So,
wants
what are
to-
the 4 tournaments again?
Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, Euros.
Arsenal. I'll go next. Arsenal winning the Champions League. Europa League. Who's in it?
Sevilla aren't in it, but I still went with Sevilla.
Yeah, I reckon Napoli get knocked out of the group stages and win it. Conference League, I think Aston Villa and England are going to win the Euros. If Arsenal don't win the Champions League, treble for Bayern and Ballon d'Or for Kane.
Ooh, I like it. Go on, Dan.
Who else is in the Conference League other than Villa? Because that's
Villa are
that's,
winning
It's a
it.
great
I think that's the
question.
only team that I know that's in. Okay, cool.
Probably like Hibs.
Champions League, Man United, because I'm really positive about them at the moment. Europa League, without any biases, is going to be Atalanta, and Scamacca is going to score the winner in the final. Conference League is Villa because they're the only team in it, and it's coming home.
It is coming.
Yeah, boys, I feel like we're going to have a quite a similar answer here. But Champions League, back to back, Man City. Europa League, United getting knocked out of the group stage into Europa, winning it. Conference League is going to be Hibernian, and World Cup, as we all know, Euro, sorry, is fucking coming home.
There we go.
Vamos.
It really should.
It is coming home. Right. That was the Football Group Chat here on LiveDuel.